Hey, you guys, what makes a present like really great? Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is Christmas time. So I'm super excited about presents. I love presents. I love that fact that my wife is like a really good present giver. So that pretty much pumps me up. I get a little nervous when I get her gifts because my gifts haven't always been accepted as really great. Like I kind of missed it. I remember the very first Christmas that we were married and I bought her these gifts that I thought were awesome. And I realized really quick, she did not think those were awesome. I'm like, this is a bad deal. There was no joy in that gift at all. So I've been thinking a lot about, what makes a present really great. And I think, in our culture, because we have so much, like we really do have so much, that, a present that's great is something that makes us feel good in the moment, right? Something that we can enjoy for a little bit. That's awesome. Something that kind of reflects who we are. I think that's cool. But there's other people in the world where a present is so much more. A real present, the best presents actually bring hope in darkness. So we sponsor kids with an organization called Compassion in Africa. And we're just, getting in their letters that are saying, hey, will you get a gift for your child in Africa? And so we're looking at maybe getting them like a cow or a chicken and I'm like, this is kind of weird to me because if someone got me like a cow or a chicken, that's like not a good gift for me. That's a problem gift. I can't handle one of those in my backyard. I'm trying cleaning up after. Like this is a bad gig. But for people that are living in poverty, people that need food to survive, this is a gift of life. This is hope in darkness. And hey, when you find a gift that brings hope in darkness, you guys, that's the best gift ever. That's the best present ever. Hey, we're talking about this Christmas, we're talking about this idea that Jesus is the absolute best present ever. And we're looking at Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. And Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, here's what's happening. The people that the author of Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 is talking to are in a really dark space. I mean, the world is not working well for them. They're a country that's being oppressed by invaders. People are being taken from them. Like, it is a scary, incredibly dark time. And in the midst of this dude, Isaiah, who's like a prophet, someone who speaks for God, comes to them and tells them of a hope that's coming. And listen to what he says in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. He's talking about this gift that is coming to bring hope in the midst of incredible darkness. We too need a gift that brings hope in the midst of darkness, don't we? I mean, let's be honest. These last 2 years have been really hard. We've been living in a pandemic. It's changed how we can enjoy relationships with others. For some of us, it's changed what we thought about for our future. We're in this space where we're hearing stories of conflict around our world. We talk about the climate shifting and changing. You guys, in some ways, it's a pretty dark time. And it's not just the world is in a dark time. For some of us, Christmas is dark because it reminds us that maybe our families don't work the way other families do. Maybe there's brokenness in our relationships with people close to us. And maybe for some of us, there's real brokenness in ourselves. It can be really difficult. It can feel dark and we need hope. And the same Jesus that came to the people in Isaiah 9 verse 6, that's the Jesus that comes to us now. He's the best present ever. He gives us hope in the midst of the darkness. So today I want to talk a little bit about this idea that Jesus is our wonderful counselor. He's the one who brings great advice. And when we surrender to his advice, you guys, it gives us freedom. It gives us life. Hey, have you ever gotten some bad advice? So I don't get lots of advice from other people, but I think every once in a while I give myself bad advice. Have you ever done that? For instance, I try to build things every once in a while for my wife. She'd like me to build things, but I'm terrible at building things. But I remember we were trying to put together our kitchen in our house, and we had IKEA furniture. I love IKEA furniture, by the way. It's so awesome. Except if you try to build it on your own advice. You try to just do what you want to do. So she comes to me and she's like, hey, could you build the kitchen? I'm like, I'm not very good at this, but I'll go for it. So I just try to go for it. I'm doing it myself. I'm trying to screw stuff together. It does not work. Nothing worked. And I remember getting so frustrated because it wasn't working for me. And then finally I thought, wait, There's actually people who know how this works. What if I take their advice, read the instructions, and give that a go? And shocking, works so good. Like IKEA is made to work like so good. And I remember taking the advice, reading it, applying it, and it's like it changed my whole experience. Hey, listen, here's what I want you to do. Get in your circle groups and just talk a little bit about a time when you experienced some really bad advice. Okay, go ahead and talk about that. Okay, so listen, here's the main point. Jesus is like the best counselor ever. When we listen to his advice, you guys, we experience freedom. Jesus says this. So in John chapter 8, verse 31 and 32, Jesus is speaking and he says this, if you hold to my teaching, you're really my disciples, and then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now, when I read that, there's a couple of things that stand out to me that I think are so amazing. Here's the first thing, that Jesus actually teaches us. You know what I mean? Like he actually speaks to us. Our God, who came to earth as a human being, he has now spoken to us. Are you kidding me, you guys? Think about that for a second. I think oftentimes when we have someone in our life that we think is pretty amazing, we always hope that maybe they'll talk to us. Like I remember when I first saw Jen, we were at college together, and I remember seeing her and thinking her, she is amazing, and thinking to myself, I'd love to talk to her, but that's never going to happen. And I would get so nervous when I would see her. And in fact, we went for 2 years at college, never spoke to each other once. And then I go to university in another town, and I'm walking down the aisle of the grocery store, and there she is. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And even though I wanted to kind of run away and hide because I thought she was so amazing, I was kind of stuck in this moment, so I thought I might try speaking to her. And you know what? She spoke back to me. How cool is that? She literally used words and talked to me. And it changed my life forever, literally, because now we're married. It's a completely different life. Hey, when people that we admire, when they speak to us, it changes us. You guys, we have this God, Jesus Christ, the best gift ever, who actually comes and speaks to us. We don't have to wonder. We don't have to wonder about where our world came from. We don't have to wonder about why there's brokenness in our world or brokenness in ourselves. We don't have to wonder what is the way forward that God would have us do because He's spoken to us. Jesus, in His Word, He says, if you hold to my teaching, you're really my disciples. You know the truth, and the truth will set you free. This is amazing to me. And not only has He simply spoken to us, but the other reality is He's spoken the truth. He speaks the truth to us as human beings. We don't have to wonder if He's lying to us. We don't have to wonder if He's just trying to impress us. We don't have to wonder if He's just trying not to hurt our feelings. He speaks the truth, you guys. It's so good. Wouldn't it be good if we could always hear the truth? I mean, some of the truth is difficult, right? I was thinking about this. What might be a truth that's hard to hear? How about something like this? How about a truth like, love your enemies? That's hard to hear, right? How about a truth like, forgive those who have hurt you? I mean, who even says that kind of stuff? I mean, when was the last time that you listened to a musician sing a song about forgiving the boyfriend or girlfriend that hurt you? You don't hear that stuff, but that's the kind of truth that we need because it gives us life, right? When we forgive, we break cycles of violence that just dominate our world. When we forgive, it changes who we are on the inside. It removes anger, replaces it with peace, gives us opportunity for joy. The truth is hard to hear, but we need the truth because it gives us life. And the Bible says that Jesus speaks the truth to us. You guys, you have a God that speaks truth. And then He goes on, He says, if you hold to my teaching, if we submit to it, we say, okay, Jesus, whatever you have to say, I'm going to trust you, I'm in. If we hold to my teaching, He says, then you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. And I think there's two kinds of freedom. We can be free from things that try to control us in negative ways and hurt us, but we can also be free for things, free to do things that we were actually created to do. And when we hear the truth of Jesus Christ, when we hear the reality that, you guys, the reason we're so broken is because our sin and the sin of others, but the reality is that there's hope for healing and life because of what Jesus Christ did for us on the cross. And when we give our lives back to the one who created us in the first place and give Him control, and we trust Him that His way is good, we become the people He created us to be, and there is life. When we hear that, you guys, that changes everything. Jesus speaks this truth over us of who we are, and it gives us the freedom to be who we are when we surrender to Him. He gives us our identity. Hey, I want to just pause for a second. You guys, there are so many different groups of people who are trying to speak an identity to you. People online tell you how to be, live a certain way. People in the environment around you telling you who to be, live a certain way. Culture telling you that, whatever you feel inside, that's who you are. I just need you to know, we give so much, authority to other people to speak into our lives, but those voices, you guys, they don't give us freedom. The one who created us, the one who loves us, the one who died on the cross for us, He's the one we should let speak into our lives. When we allow Him to tell us the truth about who we are, when we hold to His teaching and we surrender to what He would have for us, you guys, that's where we experience freedom. Freedom to be the people God created us to be. That's where our life is. Hey, here's a question for you. Is it hard for you to trust that Jesus' advice is good advice, that it's life-giving advice? What makes that hard for you? Go ahead and turn into your groups real quick and have that conversation. Hey, you guys, when we accept Jesus as our wonderful counselor, best gift ever, wonderful counselor, His advice gives us freedom to be who He's called us to be. When we accept Him as our counselor and we hold to His teaching, a couple of things happen. Number one, we become really resilient. And here's what I mean by that. Other people might say things about us that hurt our feelings, that challenge us, but when we hold to Jesus' teaching, we don't have to be afraid of other people and what they have to say. Because even though our feelings shift, you guys, we don't shift because we know what God says about us, and that does not change. So we can actually be really resilient people. The second thing that happens is we become really stable, our emotions might go up and down, and that's true and that's real, but hey, that's okay because our emotions don't dictate who we are. How we feel about ourselves doesn't dictate who we actually are. What Jesus says about us dictates who we are. So we can have some stability. Even though our emotions go up and down, we're hey, I'm okay. I know what Jesus says about me. And finally, we can be really strong. We can be really strong. All sorts of people have different agendas for our lives. It's true, they want us to do different things. But no matter what the situation is, no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult, we know that God has one agenda for our lives. He wants to make us more into the people He originally created us to be. He actually wants to make us like Jesus, right? And when we know this truth, you guys, we can be so strong, resilient, stable. We can actually experience freedom. When we hear His advice, when we hear His truth, and we hold to it, we're really His disciples. And we know the truth, and the truth sets us free. He is a wonderful counselor. You guys, He brings hope in the darkness. Best gift ever.